Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really massive shift happening right now.
Yeah, it's all about how artificial intelligence is completely, well, changing the advertising game.
It really is. I mean, think about the sheer volume of ads you see.
Mm.
People say it's anywhere from, 3,000 to maybe 10,000 commercial
And
messages?
every single day, it's staggering.
Right. So how do brands even begin to cut through all that noise?
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge challenge.
Uh-huh. And that's where AI is really stepping up, isn't it? It seems to be offering a pretty powerful solution.
And it's going way beyond just, making things run a bit faster or more efficiently.
Exactly. Our goal here in this deep dive is to look past that basic idea of AI just automating ad tasks.
Okay.
We really want to explore how it's poised to fundamentally reshape marketing itself. You know, the way content is dreamed up.
Right. How it's tailored maybe to individuals.
Yeah, and even the big picture stuff, the overall strategies that guide brands, it feels like everything's potentially on the table.
Absolutely. And to help us sort of navigate this whole evolving landscape, we're digging into a really fascinating recent discussion.
Oh yeah, who's involved?
It featured two real leaders in the field. Rajamannar, he's the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at Mastercard, a big voice on marketing's future.
Okay, yeah, I know the name. Very credible.
And Stefan Pletorius, who's the Chief Technology Officer over at WPP.
Ah, WPP, one of the giants in global marketing and comms. So yeah, definite people who know their stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what really caught my eye was this concept from Rajamannar. He calls it quantum marketing.
Quantum marketing. Okay, tell me more. That sounds significant.
It does, right. He basically argues that what we're seeing driven by tech like AI isn't just a small step or, a gradual improvement.
So not just tweaking the dials.
No, he sees it as a genuine leap forward, like a fundamental change in how marketing even operates, its very nature.
Wow, okay. So that sets the stage. What's actually going on in marketing right now that makes this kind of quantum leap feel so necessary? Why now?
Well, it seems the core ideas, the principles that have guided marketing for, 50 years or more.
Yeah, the classic stuff. Developed way before the internet, right?
Exactly. Before the internet, before this absolute explosion of data we're all swimming in now, those old ways are just struggling. They're struggling to keep up.
Makes sense. It's a totally different environment today, isn't it?
Completely. You
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head earlier. People are constantly jumping between devices, phones, laptops, TVs.
Yeah, and bombarded with content on what feels like, I don't know, a million different platforms. Social media, streaming, websites.
It's everywhere. And as Stefan Pletorius pointed out, this huge spread of media makes it incredibly difficult for brands just to connect with the right people reliably.
Uh-huh. It's fragmented.
Very. And then you add the fact that you need so much content to reach all these different groups, these niches.
Right, you can't just run one TV ad anymore.
Not at all. And then the paradox.
Hmm.
Our attention spans are reportedly shrinking. Less than 8 seconds, some studies say.
8 seconds. That's
Wow.
wow.
So you need more content than ever, but you have less time than ever to actually grab someone's attention. It's a bizarre situation.
It really is. Kind of a logistical nightmare for marketers, I'd imagine.
And it was surprising to hear that marketing, this huge influential industry, might actually be a bit behind the curve technologically.
In what way?
Well, apparently a lot of the processes involved in creating and placing ads are still quite manual. Lots of different steps, different people, different systems, not fully digitized or modernized yet.
Interesting. You'd think they'd be leading the charge.
You would. But what's fascinating is this growing realization, this pressure that things have to change, and fast.
Why the urgency?
Because companies see AI coming. They understand that if they don't build a more streamlined, more automated foundation now, they just won't be ready for an AI-driven future.
Ah, okay. So it's about future-proofing in a way. Getting the house in order before the AI wave really hits.
Precisely. The future is kind of forcing the present to adapt, you could say.
Right. So, okay, how does AI actually help tackle these huge challenges? It's not just about making things a little quicker, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, speed is part of it, but it's more fundamental. AI has this incredible power to automate those really repetitive, high-volume tasks.
The grunt work, basically.
Yeah, the stuff that, frankly, drains human potential. Like, think about needing to adapt an ad into thousands of slightly different versions for different platforms, different audiences.
Oh, yeah. Resizing banners, changing copies
Yeah.
slightly. That stuff takes ages.
Exactly, and AI can do that almost instantly. Pletorius gave this amazing example, creating 13,000 variations of an ad.
13,000. Wow. Manually, that's unthinkable.
It'd take an army, wouldn't it? And an eternity.
Mhm.
And that scale unlocks things like A/B testing
Yeah.
on a massive level, optimizing campaigns in ways you just couldn't before.
So much less wasted ad spend, much higher return. That's a huge shift right there.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it goes even further than just speed and scale. We're talking about AI models that are specifically trained. You teach them everything about a specific task or brand.
Like custom-built AI.
Sort of, yeah. And these models can actually start to predict how well an ad is likely to perform.
Predict. How?
Based on all the data they've learned, they can understand why something might work or might not, and even suggest ways to improve it.
Okay, that's getting really interesting. Predictive power.
And then there's the whole potential for creating personalized content tailored to individuals at a scale we've just never imagined before.
Right. Personalization is obviously huge in marketing. It's usually all about collecting tons of consumer data, isn't it?
It often is, yeah. But the discussion brought up a really interesting angle on this, about the type of data that's becoming really valuable now in this AI world.
Oh, what's the shift?
Well, the traditional focus, as you said, has been very much on personal data, knowing who someone is, their demographics, their past behavior.
Right, tracking cookies and all that.
Exactly. But the insight here was that non-personal contextual data might actually be becoming more important, or at least equally important.
Non-personal, like what?
Things like someone's current location, the weather where they are, maybe local events happening nearby, the time of day, even the season.
Ah, okay. So stuff about the situation, not just the person.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the idea is that this contextual data can often be much more effective in predicting what someone might need or want in that specific moment.
That actually makes a lot of sense. If it's raining, maybe pitch umbrellas, right? Not just based on who they are generally.
Exactly, that kind of thing. It feels a bit more relevant, maybe less intrusive than just relying on tracking everything someone does online.
Now, inevitably, when AI comes up, especially around content creation, the big question is creativity.
Yes. Can AI really be creative, especially in marketing?
It's always the elephant in the room, isn't it?
Mhm.
The discussion made a really useful distinction here, I thought,
Okay.
between what they called commercial creativity and, let's say, pure artistic creativity.
Right. What's the difference in their view?
Well, commercial creativity is all about creating marketing that works. Stuff that drives measurable business results, sales, signups, whatever the goal is.
Okay, practical creativity.
Yeah. Whereas pure artistic creativity is more about, originality, breaking boundaries, expressing something totally new, maybe without an immediate commercial goal in mind.
Got it. So where does AI fit in?
The argument was that AI might not, write the next great novel or paint a masterpiece out of the blue.
Probably not anytime soon, no.
But it can excel at commercial creativity, especially in things like ensuring a brand's look and feel, its design, its tone of voice, stays really consistent across thousands of different ads and pieces of content.
Ah, okay. So it's brilliant at working within defined rules and guidelines, like a brand's style guide.
Exactly. And optimizing based on data for what's likely to be effective in the market. It's less about inventing something totally new and more about being incredibly efficient and effective within those commercial parameters.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
Precisely. And the key message wasn't that AI is going to replace human creativity entirely. Far from it.
Good. Because that's always the fear, isn't it? The sort of robots taking over scenario.
Yeah, the Wall-E future where we all just sit back. No, the aim seems to be building tech that augments us, makes us smarter, faster, more effective, not obsolete.
Enhance, not replace.
That's the idea.
Okay, so to make this more concrete, Stefan Pletorius actually showed a demo, right, of WPP's AI-powered marketing system.
Yeah, this sounded fascinating. A real glimpse into what this quantum marketing might actually look like day to day.
What did they show?
They used a fictional perfume brand called Zia running on their open platform, and a core concept was something they called brand brains.
Brand brains, like an AI specifically for one brand.
Kind of, yeah. Think of it like training a specialized AI on everything about your specific brand. Its visuals, its logos, its colors, its core values, the tone of voice it uses.
Okay, so it really learns the brand identity.
Exactly. And once it has that brain, the AI can then generate content or analyze content, making sure it feels authentically on brand.
Cool. And how do they actually use these brand brains in the demo?
Well, one really compelling application was creating AI-generated personas.
Personas,
Yeah.
like representations of target customers.
Essentially, yes, digital stand-ins for different segments of your audience. The AI builds these personas using real marketing data, research data.
And then what? You talk to them.
Pretty much. You can interact with these AI personas to get instant feedback on marketing ideas, on creative concepts, on packaging.
Whoa, so it's like having an instant focus group on demand.
That's exactly what it sounds like. They showed an example where they asked an AI persona about, say, the packaging design for a hand wash product.
And it gives an answer.
Yeah, it generates a response based on all the data it's been trained on for that audience segment. They call them synthetic focus groups.
Synthetic focus groups. Wow. That sounds incredibly fast and cheap compared to getting real people in a room.
Oh, absolutely. The speed and the scale are just game-changing compared to traditional methods. You could test dozens of ideas in an afternoon.
That's a huge difference. But, okay, the obvious question. How reliable is that feedback? Does the AI persona really reflect how actual consumers would react?
Yeah, that's the critical point, isn't it?
Right.
And they acknowledge that perfectly capturing all the nuances of human emotion and irrationality is, still a work in progress.
Right. It's not a real person.
No. But the counter-argument was that these AI models have access to a kind of superhuman amount of information.
Superhuman. How so?
They're trained on vast data sets, market research, surveys, online behavior, far more information than any single person in a traditional focus group could ever process or recall.
Okay. So it might lack human intuition,
Yeah.
but it has this enormous knowledge base.
Exactly. So while human gut feelings and insights will always be important, the AI offers this powerful data-driven perspective alongside it. It's not necessarily replacing traditional focus groups entirely, but it's definitely going to influence how they're used.
Interesting. Did they also show AI actually creating content, not just giving feedback?
They did, yeah. More on the ideation side, kicking things off.
How did that work?
They showed it generating initial images and potential taglines for the Zia perfume brand, all based on those brand guidelines stored in the brand brain.
So giving you starting points for a campaign.
Exactly. Like, it might generate a tagline. I think the example was something like, elevate your hand care ritual with Zia.
Okay.
And alongside that, a set of sample images, photos, illustrations that visually matched the brand's defined aesthetic. Kind of like an AI assistant providing creative sparks to get a brainstorming session going.
That could be really useful. Beat the blank page problem. Were those images entirely AI generated?
Interestingly, it was often a mix, a hybrid approach.
Oh.
So the backgrounds, the settings, the mood of the images, that might be purely AI generated, but the actual product image itself, the perfume bottle, in this case, would often be a precise 3D rendering.
For perfect accuracy of the product.
Exactly. You need the product shot to be absolutely spot on. So it shows how AI is being integrated with existing tools and techniques, not just replacing everything wholesale.
Makes sense. Use the best tool for each part of the job.
And again, just the sheer volume it can produce. Remember that 13,000 variations number? It kept coming back to that scale.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around. But with, say, 13,000 options, how on earth do you decide which ones to actually use? It sounds almost paralyzing.
Right. Just because you can make thousands doesn't mean you should run thousands blindly. That's where the next layer of AI comes in. Predictive scoring.
Predictive scoring, okay.
Yeah.
Scoring them on what?
On how likely they are to actually work. They talked about specific AI models, sometimes called performance brains, trained to predict outcomes.
What kind of outcomes?
Things like predicted brand lift, or the likelihood of driving a direct response like a click or a purchase, or even predicting actual sales impact.
So the AI looks at an ad variation and gives it a score based on its predicted success.
Exactly. Each variation gets scored against specific marketing goals.
Okay, that sounds incredibly useful. So it's not just creating endless options, it's helping you filter them based on data-driven predictions.
Precisely. And think about the value for optimizing your media budget. Why waste money running ads that the AI predicts have a really low chance of success?
Yeah, absolutely. Did they give an example?
They mention seeing ads sometimes get prediction scores as low as, say, 36%.
Yeah.
Being able to identify those poor performers before you spend money on them, that's huge potential savings. Focus the budget on the likely winners.
Right. Wow. This is all incredibly powerful stuff. But it does bring us back to the people working in advertising. What does this all mean for jobs? Is AI going to replace huge numbers of people?
It's the unavoidable question, isn't it? The perspective shared in the discussion, and it's one I hear quite often in this space, is that AI is more likely to shift tasks than to eliminate jobs wholesale.
Shift tasks. How so?
Well, by automating those repetitive, high-volume, often quite mundane tasks we talked about, like generating thousands of ad variations.
Right, the stuff AI is really good at.
Yeah. It frees up human talent, the argument goes, to focus on higher value activities, things that require more strategic thinking, creativity, empathy.
Like what, specifically?
Things like developing the core campaign strategy, crafting really compelling messaging, conducting deep customer research, understanding cultural nuances, refining the overall brand aesthetic and purpose, the more human-centric stuff.
So instead of someone spending all day manually tweaking banner ads.
Exactly. They could be focusing on the bigger creative idea, the core message, the strategic direction of the campaign, or analyzing the results in a more sophisticated way.
That does sound like a more engaging job, arguably.
It could be. Now, it absolutely means people will need to learn new tools, develop new skills, adapt to working alongside AI. That's undeniable.
Sure, there's a learning curve.
But the argument is that this shift, moving away from some of the more assembly line aspects of digital advertising towards more strategic and creative work, is ultimately a net positive development for the workforce.
Okay, so given all these huge rapid changes, what was the main advice from these experts for marketers trying to figure all this out?
The message was really clear and quite direct, actually. It was basically, start doing things right now.
Get practical, basically. Don't just theorize.
Exactly. Don't just read articles or have endless meetings about AI. Get your hands dirty. Start experimenting with the tools, run small pilot projects, learn by practical application.
Why is that hands-on approach so crucial?
Because actually working with AI, seeing what it can do, what it can't do, can fundamentally change how marketers think. It forces you to question old assumptions, traditional methods, how you use data.
It changes your perspective from the inside out rather than just reading about it.
That's the idea. You start asking different questions once you actually use the tech.
And is this something one department, like the AI team, can handle? Or does it need to be broader?
Oh, definitely broader. The point was strongly made that becoming a truly AI-driven company isn't something you can just delegate to a specific tech team.
It needs buy-in from the top.
Absolutely. From the CEO down, it requires adoption and integration across the entire marketing organization, probably the whole company eventually. Everyone needs to understand the potential and how it affects their role.
That sounds like a big organizational shift.
It is. And crucially, they stressed that this is a transformation companies need to own and navigate themselves. You can't just outsource becoming an AI-driven company. You have to build that capability internally.
Right. You need to learn how to fish, not just buy the fish.
Something like that, yeah. It might be uncomfortable for some organizations, require changing processes, maybe even culture, but it's seen as necessary.
Okay, so just to sort of wrap this all up, it really sounds like AI is way more than just another tool for making ads a bit more efficient.
Definitely. It feels like it's fundamentally changing the whole process. How content gets created, how audiences are targeted and reached, how success is even measured.
Bringing incredible speed, massive scale, and these really powerful data-backed predictions.
And the key takeaway seems to be, embrace this shift now. Don't see it as just a threat, but as a massive opportunity.
An opportunity to, amplify human skills.
Yeah, to augment our capabilities, get rid of the drudgery, and ultimately stay competitive in a landscape that's changing incredibly fast.
That's a powerful message. Okay, so for you, listening in, maybe pause and think about this. How might these core ideas behind AI-driven marketing, the automation, the prediction, the personalization, the focus on context, how might they apply beyond advertising?
Yeah, could they be relevant in other industries, maybe even in your own line of work?
And perhaps more importantly, what's one small practical step you could take maybe this week just to start exploring these new possibilities? Time to maybe take your own little deep dive into what AI could mean for you.
Good thought to end on.
Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.